What's going on, guys? What's cracking? Just gonna make this right off the bat. So got a ton of Toyota parts in and got a ton of powder coated parts back. Big thank you to VPC or VagWorks down in West Virginia. Killed it with this. Now, some of the areas I should have told him a little bit better because I didn't think about it when coating. Like all this stuff here could actually be coated. So I'm gonna paint all that because that's actually exposed. But I didn't tell him, and he did the right thing by plugging as much as he could because you don't want to cover that and be like, oh crap. So I'm gonna paint some of these surfaces just to be safe, but a lot of it is taken care of. So there will be a piece right up against this, so on and so forth. I'm really, really happy with this. I'll have to paint the backside of that just a smidgen. I even had the caps redone. So these caps, if we take this and flip it over here, boom, boom, they'll go in here like so when done. So they'll fit in there. So I'll paint this with a gloss black of some sort. Same thing here and here. Try to get as much of these surfaces as I can. Again, you can powder all that stuff because I mean, it's not crazy tolerances for these outside stuff. Anything that doesn't have a thread, it doesn't really matter. So I'll just hit that with some gloss paint and it should be good to go. But a lot better than what it was. They were rusty. These things were, when I mean bad shape, bad shape. So I just wanted them gloss powder, just to have it done. And I sent them the caps just because might as well, right? If you're gonna put everything else in, might as well put the caps on there too and have them gloss black. Yeah, so it'll be nice. I also did the sway bar mounts. These were just like stainless steel mounts that are just definitely corroded. I could have had them zinc coated, but I'm glad I didn't now. I like the black look better. I think it turns out great. I've got these Autosport front covers too. I've had these for about a year or so now. Had to modify them some, but got them on there now. It's the last thing I've got. I had to modify it here and here. But yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. These were prototypes over a year ago. So just have this inside area here. Yeah, pumped to get that on. But the biggest thing is this. These turbos turned out awesome. I wanted this Darth Vader look because I got this idea from Vlad over at National Speed. So I did both turbos, so her car and my engine. What you do is you literally powder everything. So outside, even into a certain point, as you can see there, we stop it so it doesn't touch the blade. He even said, he's like, that was a bit of a pain in the ass, Ryan. I said, I bet. I'm sorry, man. So very, very happy with all that. He said he had to sand some of it in here to clean it up, but that's just nature of the beast. I'm just really excited for this. I think this looks awesome. So let's go ahead and pop one of these turbos on just to see how it looks because I love that Darth Vader look. I also forgot, because I'm an idiot, the Titan sway bar, which comes silver, which is beat up. I had actually hit it with brake cleaner a ton over the years, and it was pretty much down to the bare metal in spots. So instead of doing silver, which the rear one is still silver, I wanted it to be black. I just think that's the way. And you can always tell it's still a Titan sway bar because it has these double mounts. They're the only ones that do that, plus it's massive, as you can't tell. This was already powdered black at one time, but was not done well. The backside wasn't even done. And on top of it, I had put stickers, scratched it up. I wanted it fresh. I love this panel. It's simple, it's clean, but I wanted something fresh. So I had him strip it and powder it black. I'm not gonna put stickers on it this time. I'm gonna try to keep it as clean as possible. So yeah, really pumped about that. And I know I still wanna put that on, but I guess we'll talk about that after I do the bolts. Now, let's put turbo on, screw that. I'll talk about bolts because bolts are boring. Who cares? Boring. Boring. My name's Jimmy. Welcome to my show. Yee-haw. All right, so that's how the turbo looks on there. Look at that. I love that blacked out look. Now the thing is, I do run an intake, so I think over time this is gonna get scratched here, where it's gonna have wear marks in it. Kind of sucks, but I at least can take it off for shows and things. Hopefully I can polish it out or put something on it so this doesn't. No matter what, at the end of the day, this is powder coat, which is stronger and tougher, but it will still scratch just like anything else. I mean, this already has scratches on it just from dust. Can you guys see all that? Look at that. All my other stuff had done the same thing. It just dust, dirt, debris gets on it, and it's going to scratch. Shit's going to happen. But I do love the way that looks. Got the billet front covers on too. They seem to be fitting. I know I messed with them before. I had to grind down a few areas, but they seem to be fitting okay. Test fitted it too before I did all this, and it will fit inside here. The snout fits in for the Fluidampr over there. Which I'll show installing in this video too. Got some dress-up bolts. Now I'm waiting on some different lengths. I have the incorrect lengths right now, so I want to put black dress-up bolts, and then I'm going to use some blue Loctite just to make sure they don't back out. I got a hole here and here. This also comes with some shims to make sure, because this doesn't go the whole way back to it here, so this has a shim to make sure you're not just free floating in there and this bolt's just bolting to air realistically, so it actually seats down. It doesn't need one there. You put a shim in this one. I don't have the shim in there yet. And it's just 2 bolt holes up here for this. And yeah, so I can fit the factory cover on this too. So the only thing I always noticed, again, it's how picky you guys want to be. And it's not really designed to fit a front cover either. It's designed, the whole point is, be fancy billet covers to have it open, but it kind of sticks out past, just a smidge. So, I mean, if that bothers you, I just want y'all to see it, but I love that. Look at that. I mean, sheesh, Lord have mercy, that looked good. Yeah, I'm getting really excited. This color is going to be changing now. That's going to be going green. This is black. I obviously have black intercooler piping, and I was going to do quick clamps. I'm going to do one here. I just have a really hard time getting those things on and off. The other problem is it's such a tight area here. I'd almost have to want to weld an extension on this to bring it down and over, then a quick clamp, because it's so hard to get to it here. This could be in the way. I could do it. They make a shorter one and mid-range, and this is the long version. I could probably get away with doing it with a mid-range, so it pulls this up and I pull it back that way some. I don't know, but yeah, I'll make that decision further as we go here. Yeah. Oh, what I wanted to show you too with the powder coat stuff is over here. Went ahead and put her turbo back on again. I need to get new clamps. Those janky clamps there don't cut it, but look at that. Black turbo also makes it look a lot smaller. Her car doesn't need a Sportsman, but since they have the same housing, should have done a Sportsman this, so it would really fill it out more. But that's a 1250, 1300 horsepower turbo, and it doesn't look that big. They're just that efficient. Ben from Gears and Gasoline would give me shit right now. He hates precision. I'm not a big precision fan myself, but they do make the power. They only need oil, no coolant's needed, and the proof's in the pudding, man. They do make great power for the size of the turbo. It's pretty incredible, to be honest. So yeah, screw you, Ben. No one cares. Again, I want to show installing this here shortly too, so give me a few minutes. And I've got videos on it already, but we're going to torque this down to 255 foot-pounds. It just slides on. There's no machining needed for the Fluidampr. Zero machining is needed for the front of this engine on the cranks now, unlike an ATI and everything else. Fluidampr got it right the first time. I had a great interview I did with Nick, not once, but twice now, one of the guys that work over at Fluidampr, but I screwed up. I need to get back with him because the company itself, this will be my 3rd Fluidampr now. I'm a huge believer in the company. I don't know why, but the product just really seems to make sense. The guys seem very honest. They're good people. It's funny enough, ATI is kind of in my backyard. I'm closer to ATI than I am Fluidampr. ATI is based out of like the Baltimore area, where ATI is based out of, I would say, upstate New York. So I could actually do better by getting closer to ATI, but I don't really care because I really believe in this product. This was given to me. I have to be honest this time around, but the first 2 that I've always bought were never given to me. And if you guys are saying about cost, the cost is the same between an ATI or that. So it really comes down to what you believe in, and I do believe in that product. Another thing, guys, is a small subject, but I'm removing all these sensors here. These are ones that were off my car before. I believe this is my map sensor here. This is my fuel pressure sensor. It must have been leaking, and the E85 literally turned it yellow over time. And this is a brand new sensor I never got to run yet. Bosch sensor that's fluid. It is pressure and temperature all in one. Because I'm going to be going with the Raceworks. They are going to be one of the new title sponsors to this. I'll talk about them a little bit more once some of the parts show up, but they're going to be one of the new title sponsors. Can't thank them enough. The new sensors I'll be getting here, if I have a picture, I'll flash it up, but they are a stainless steel sensor with a Deutsch connector on the end, still using like a Delphi or a, what's the name of the company? I can't even think of it right now. Style connector that uses a Deutsch connector. It'll be a 3-pin or a 4-pin if it is one that is pressure and temperature all in one. If it's just pressure, it'll be a 3-pin like this, but it uses a Deutsch connector, a little bit cleaner looking sensor, comes with all the information too. Pretty excited about trying those, and it's always nice to start with fresh new sensors instead of reusing what you have. Again, this one's brand new, but these 2 were used from the old setup, and I think I had 2 other sensors I was going to reuse. But now we're past that, new bolts. So the company, Burton Metals, that zinc coated all my stuff, lost 22 pounds of the 52 pounds that I sent them. So a lot of it was key parts. Unfortunately, they only refunded so much, so that's why I'm mentioning the name now. Was not very happy at all. Please do not use them. It was very poor business on their behalf. They literally said they have an 8 to 10% loss ratio when someone sends you bolts. 1, never told me that to begin with, because I never would have sent them bolts. Number 2, that is horrible. You need to do a better job at your business. When I talked to all these other zinc places, didn't have the problem. Number 3, I want to make sure it's clear that this wasn't something on me going cheap, because the place was a big shop. I wanted to make sure it wasn't fly by night. If you look it up online, they're quite a big operation. And I thought I was doing the right thing by using someone like that instead of a fly-by-night, or what I mean, like some mom and pop, something small. So I guess I shot myself in the foot. Sometimes this is where people always say, you know, spend the money or do the right thing. I did that and it screwed me. So sucks. So I had to end up buying all these specific bolts new because he lost and he didn't understand, like, you lost stuff that has to be OEM. Like, I can't buy this from Lowe's. On top of that, I don't want to use Lowe's bolts. You don't want to use a grade 9 or grade 10.9 bolt from Lowe's. It doesn't look right. I sent you OEM bolts. Yes, they were used, but the problem is his idea was, well, they were used bolts. They're not worth what new are. You're right, but I wouldn't have to be buying new if you wouldn't have freaking lost them. That's why I'm so mad. So don't use them. I do need to get these all zinc coated or do something. They are brand new, so part of me is like, why bother zinc coating them? I'm not sure what that green coating is that Toyota puts on some of the bolts. Not all of them, but some of them. I'm not sure if it is something to keep it from rusting or going bad. I'm not really sure. Part of me wants to get these all zinc coated, but I'm also afraid to do that because now I'm like, if I zinc coat them, that's going to screw me if I get them lost again. Like, I just don't know what to do. Very, very, very infuriating. So yeah, that's where that's at. But again, these bolts are all new. Now this I did not have to buy. These are the bolts that go down in the chassis here. The reason I did is the threads and everything are so messed up on this. Don't want to mess with it. And on top of it, look at that. That's how they sent it back. Look at that. It's like, it almost flakes off to wherever the zinc, like, literally, there was like dust all over everything too. And it flakes off on my hand. It's just not very happy at all. So I wanted to buy new OEM. I have Travis paint these off the car and then we'll install them so he can tape it off here and just paint the top part of it. The bottom part doesn't need it, but just the top part so it matches the engine bay. And a bunch of other random bolts that are for the power steering rack, for alignment bolts, some of the stuff for the suspension. There's some washers I had to buy, these big washers. These ones here for the big bolts that hold the top part of the suspension in. Just a lot of stuff in general. Very, very infuriating. Okay guys, so we're gonna install this fluid damper here. Bought a brand new bolt. This is a 22mm head there, so just to give you a heads up. One other thing I wanted to show you guys real quick. You wanna hold on to this, put this inside your car. This is the information, your SFI card, if you ever would need to drag race or anything of that nature. Here's your SFI card. All your documentation to your paperwork's inside there too. So I always keep this inside the glove box. After installing one of these, it's nice to have, keep it with you at all times. But the other thing I want to go over too is, if you guys have one of the older fluid dampers, you'll notice on yours they're completely black and they don't have the bolts in the front. They found on certain vehicles, I would say it's more the diesel range, the guys that are running these for hundreds of thousands of miles, these fins eventually get chewed up from rocks and stuff, and sometimes they need to get bent or they get, issues happen. So they now make it a boltable situation, so you can bolt this off for the accessory belt and then bolt a new one on if needed. I don't think I've ever seen one have issues with that in the 2J world because we just don't put as many miles on some of these other vehicles. But again, it's still a nice feature to have. So you can bolt it on and off if necessary. Again, for this here, inside of the area, you do not need to machine this like you do other ones. It's just, this damper is nice for that. So what we're gonna do here is just slide it on. This already has some oil or grease on it. You wanna make sure inside of here too, you put in your crank gear, your sensors on, and then you have this little backing plate that's inside of here. It keeps the belt from slipping forward, and there's a beveled edge to it. You wanna make sure that beveled edge is coming out towards me, or out towards you, so the beveled edge should come out this way, not in, because that'll rub against the belt, and that's not good. So we're gonna take this here, line it up. There's a keyway here too, should mention that. There's a keyway slot on here. We'll just show that so you guys can see it there. There's a keyway slot right here. See that? And there's a keyway here. Make sure you line it up. And we're gonna try and slide this on to the best of our abilities. Not sure if it's gonna slide on too well, but we'll see here. I'm gonna have to actually put some oomph into it. And I'm gonna have to tighten down the wheels here on my engine stand. Pull this in, and then we can also use the bolt to draw it in, but you don't wanna do that unless you absolutely have to. So you wanna try and slide this on the best you can. I usually take a soft hammer and hit the front of it here to push it in, but you don't wanna go too crazy either because you don't wanna put all that pressure on the internal item. So let's try and push this on if we can. Yeah, see how this goes. All right, guys, so I got it in pretty far, but now it's time I do have to actually use this. Now, you want to keep going till it just about bottoms out, or till it bottoms out, so you'll feel it bottom. It's my first time using these billet plates, so hopefully we don't rub against it. If we do, then I have to pull this off, but I've measured everything ahead of time, so let's pray it goes on. And there we are. And now we're starting to spin it. So yeah, plenty of room between the billet plate. That makes me really, really happy to see. I wanted to make sure it wasn't too close because there is swelling and stuff no matter what kind of material it is. but there's plenty of room. Very, very happy with that. So now you're probably wondering, now we've got it snug, but if you can see here, see if I can spin it. And you're like, what the heck, Ryan? You're able to spin it. How am I supposed to tighten it down? It's got to go to 255 foot-pounds. Well, I've got another neat little trick for you. This usually works a little bit better with a flywheel or something like that, but I got a little trick. I've shown this in past videos, but I'll show you how to do this. So this is what I've done. If you guys see my last videos, I mean for the last, 7 years, put a bolt here into the block, and then I put one of the flywheel bolts. I have a bunch of extras. Those ones actually had zinc coated. You don't reuse factory bolts. If they are ARPs, you can reuse them, but the factory ones are torque to yield or yield to torque, meaning they're one and done bolts. But I've thrown it in there as far as I can get it in. I want it in there as much as possible so it's not just a couple threads. Same with this, I bottomed this out on the other side, and then I put a wrench on it. When I turn this around here, sorry, I've got this on the engine stand, so if I go here, it should bottom out. Yeah, right there, it's nice and tight now. Now what you can do is take this off, and we're gonna torque this to 255. I believe that's what it is. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. We're gonna look up in the old Toyota book real quick, just to make 100% sure and go from there, but I believe it's 255, and I'll get my electronic torque wrench out here and show you guys. All right, guys, so it's 250 foot-pounds roughly. There's a couple different ways or a couple different books from the old, the new, 243, I saw 251, so 250 will do her. So it's digital torque wrench. This is from Ulsa Tools also. Very, very nice, same with the socket. I use chrome when doing this. It seems to get a better torque rating, I believe. So using that, brand new bolt, put it on there, and 255 is a lot. Sorry about that, guys. My bolt out back there slipped a little bit. I hate, every time I have to do this, I hate it. $250 foot-pounds. Holy cow, that is a ton of umph there, boys. But she's on there now. So that is all torqued on there now, guys. I don't know, love it. Just want to let you guys know that is not touching there either. It's very, see there, very deceiving. When I first did this looking down, I'm like, dude, it's gonna rub. And I'm like, once you get down, you're like, oh, it's got a ton of room. Then from the backside, I shot the light up through. It's got a ton of room. And the reason the billet's nice, if you guys, and listen, it's not bolted down right now, so it's kind of rattling. And this is loose too. Same with that. The reason that Billet's nice for this, if you guys have ever owned a 2J, the plastic always swells and then rubs against it. Is it the ending of the world? No, but it always rubs through. Like, so every time you take it off, it rubs its way through. Eventually, the front cover here gets a giant hole in it, just from it swelling out from the heat. And since it's so close, this billet gets rid of that problem. So you should never have that again. Plus, it just looks cool. It's a one and done. I don't know. Cleaner, same thing with the top plate. Cleaner too. I just really, really like that. So yeah, that's torqued on. And what I want to talk about too was, you guys saw it kind of jump off there. That bolt that was up top here, see how if you look back in the video, you saw how close the bolt, or not the bolt, but the wrench was towards the inside of the engine. Well, when it started torquing, the wrench slid back and hit the end of the bolt itself. And that's what that bang was. It was skipping, so it got back to it, got tension on it there, and then was able to torque down. That was my fault. I usually use a shorter bolt, but that's what I found really quick. So that is my fault. Don't make my mistake, but I wanted to just tell you guys that. So yeah, that's the update for this video, guys. Thank you guys very much. Hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.